It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in the studio today. Today we're going to sit down and talk with Paul Groseta, and there's a safe plan that he and his father and the Cattle Growers Association of Arizona put together, and they've been presenting it to the House of Representatives, city councils, county governments, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the safe plan. Paul, I've seen your dad's picture in the paper a couple of times, and he's brought this safe plan out. And has been talking about the safe plan, and I don't know if it was it seems to be centered a lot around the Wallow fire, especially because the Wallow fire was so devastating in the state, the largest wildfire to ever hit the state. And he's been, talking about this plan, and you've been talking about this plan, so we thought we'd have you come in and talk about that today.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate coming out and sharing our story. I'm the president of the Yavapai Cattle Growers, the county organization underneath the Arizona Cattle Growers. I'm also the Forest Service chair for the Arizona Cattle Growers Federal Lands Committee. The SAFE plan was brought about by this year's fires in Arizona and the South and in New Mexico. About 1 million acres burned in Arizona statewide. The big one was the Wallow fire up in northern Arizona.
Sure.
But there was also a lot of devastating and big fires in southern Arizona as well. And the Arizona Cattle Growers represents ranching families across the state on all forms of public lands, Forest Service, BLM, state lands and private lands. So after seeing such devastation, we felt the time was really good to try and get some changes in forest management and policy right now. We rolled the SAFE plan out at the end of July, and our goal is the SAFE plan, it's an idea, a plan.
Right.
We're trying to get local support, towns and counties, to say, yes, there is a problem, the status quo is not working, we support these action items, and that's kind of where we'd like to see the future of forest policy go. We're looking to streamline forest policy. We're asking for a rollback of the NEPA for up to 5 years to help us to get projects across the forest-wide implemented. We're calling for a halt of lawsuits and litigation that often derail and change and halt projects on national public lands, on forest lands. So we have a problem. We have an idea that we're trying to put out there and get fixed. Right now, the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors, the Mojave County Board of Supervisors, Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Cottonwood, Camp Verde, and Kingman, along with the National Public Lands Council and a few other groups, have endorsed the SAFE plan.
Now, is this SAFE plan being taken statewide?
Statewide.
Okay, so I imagine it was tough for your dad. I bring your dad up because your dad, Andy Groseta, is it's quite a name in the area. Everybody knows who Andy Groseta is. It's got to be tough to sit back and look at 1 million acres burned down and say, my gosh, that's so much money wasted. I mean, all that land wasted. For a rancher to see that much land go to waste. We've got trees, grassland, and all that's just gone now. So that's got to be kind of what kicked it into gear. You guys feel like your hands are tied sometimes?
Well, we work with the Forest Service on our ranches and how our cattle numbers are, where they're at, everything that goes on. We work closely with the Forest Service. We see any project that you do, no matter if it's a big one like the Forest Restoration Initiative or a small one such as putting a new fence in or drilling a new well, any change in land use needs to go through the NEPA process. We feel, we've seen how the Forest Service suffers from analysis paralysis. They study, and they get sued, and it moves away from actual management of the land. Over the last 30 years, NEPA and the Endangered Species Act, when the Mexican spotted owl came in and the Fish and Wildlife Service was included in consultations in the NEPA process, the logging industry, now is virtually non-existent because of the Mexican spotted owl.
It's pretty much shut down.
It pretty much shut down. There's a few small mills here and there, and you do see logging trucks, but we're needing much more. Every year, 365 million board feet of timber grow in Arizona's forests. Since 1993 to 2010, 55,000 fewer head of cattle are on Arizona's national forests that are directly related through NEPA and Endangered Species Act, along with utilization rate changes. So the fuel loads are growing every day. Right now, they're growing. And little to none is being harvested. Cattle numbers are down. So what we're trying to do is reduce fuel loads, streamline forest policy, and this will be a jobs creator, getting the logging industry and infrastructure from the private sector. The Forest Service cannot pay people, right now between $1,000 and $2,000 an acre to come in and do forest treatments. The private sector needs to come in. What that's going to take is they're going to say, okay, well, we need long-term contracts. We're not going to come and spend millions on building a sawmill and setting up infrastructure when, for a short-term contract where you're starting to put all this money in, and in a couple of years it's taken away. They need security in knowing that they can, get their project implemented and get logging back on, get ranchers and cattle back out there. These industries are very vital to rural Arizona.
When we say this, there's no logging in the state, but like I was telling you just before the show, and people see it all the time, where you're driving down the road, 89A going northbound towards Flagstaff. There's the very first left you can make after the switchbacks. I was telling you just before the show that you see logging trucks going in and out of there all the time. What are they doing?
There is, on a small scale, there is projects going on. The big one being pushed up north, the Forest Restoration Initiative, is, on total, over 2.5 million acres. You do see these small projects. The only thing that saved, some of the few small towns around the Wallow fire, like Alpine, was, some very small scale thinning projects around those towns. That was pretty much the reason why those towns were saved.
We discussed that before the show. It's more like it's not so much a timber industry as it is creating defensible space around communities.
Right.
Williams has been going through that quite a bit lately too.
That's what it is. It's small scale. And right now, the few mills that are left are at capacity. And that's not going out into the forest and getting logging back in. So it's small scale. The Forest Restoration Initiative, we hope that goes forward as a project. We think it's a noble idea and plan. We don't think it's in big enough scope. The 2.5 million acres is overall, but the annual allotment is not near enough big. They're calling for 20,000, 30,000 acre chunks per year. This year, 1 million acres went up in Arizona. The Arizona Cattle Growers is not a stakeholder in that group because it does not address grazing. It's only for logging. And the Arizona Cattle Growers represent ranch families across Arizona. That project is only up here in northern Arizona. So we look at families down in southern Arizona that don't have a single pine tree on their grazing allotments on federal lands.
Let's take a quick break.
Sure.
Paul Groseta in studio today. We're talking about the SAFE plan. I'm Paul David. We'll be back with Countywide in just a couple minutes.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Hey, honey.
What's up, buddy?
Honey? I think he's been smoking pot.
Call 911. It's okay, Joey. I'm here. Can you hear me, son?
I'm right here.
Are you with
Is he
me?
breathing?
He's not responsive.
Hello?
Honey, give me a steak knife and a ballpoint pen.
What are you
now,
doing?
stop. I'm gonna do mouth to mouth.
No.
You know lots of ways to help your child, but do you know what to do if they're using drugs? The partnership at drugfree.org can help.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hi, I'm Captain Larry Dawson with the Cottonwood Fire Department, here to talk to you about cooking safety in your home. When cooking with oil, make sure you have the proper size lid and an oven mitt nearby. If the oil does catch fire, cover the pan with the lid while wearing an oven mitt. Turn off the burner. Never throw water or baking soda on a grease fire. Never leave an open flame unattended, and always have a working fire extinguisher nearby.
Welcome back to Countywide. Paul Groseta in studio today. We're talking about the SAFE plan. He and his father have been going around the state kind of getting the backing of counties and cities and towns to kind of say, hey, and the way I'm looking at this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that, okay, we had logging and we had the grazing. We still have grazing and we still have a small amount of logging in the state right now. But at one point it was a big deal in the state. And I guess the grazing is still a big deal in the state because the ranchers are a big deal in the state. But we've gone through all these years now where we haven't been doing the logging and we haven't been doing as much grazing. And so the forests are getting older and older and more gnarled and more snarled, and then we have the rodeo Chetasky. We have the Dude Fires, another big one from way back when over there along Rim Road. The Wall Fire, rodeo Chetasky Fire. Now we've got these fires popping up and it's just wiping out these forests, these big chunks of forest. So I feel like what we're trying to get at, and we need to get at some point in time very soon, is that, okay, maybe we can't go back to the way it was in the old days, but there's got to be a way we can do it nowadays.
Well, you know, technology is always changing.
Right.
And there's newer and more efficient ways of doing anything. I'm sure the logging industry, I'm not a logger, so, you know, I'm not up to date on their current, how they do their logging. But you know, when you harvest natural resources, what we've heard is kind of, well, we don't want ranchers and loggers just going out there and pillaging and ruining the land.
I don't think that could be the case though anymore these days.
I don't think so either. It's not in your best interest. You know, you can do anything wrong. Yes, everybody. You can overgraze. You can log in an incorrect way. You can ride a bike the wrong way, and you're not going to have a good outcome. It's not in our best interest. When you have your forests and the fuel load building every day, if as man has come in and been managing these lands for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then you stop over the last 20 to 30 years, stop relatively almost all logging, cattle numbers are down, Mother Nature's going to step in. If the wall of fire wasn't you know, ignited by humans, it was just a matter of time before lightning's caused it.
Well, Mother Nature stepped in with the bark beetle as well.
Sure.
We saw tons and tons of forest die. Crown King was just about completely decimated by the bark beetle.
Oh yeah.
So we know that too. So I guess you're all about the grazing. Explain to me, and I want to do this at the beginning of the show. Grazing allotments. How does that work?
Well, when you say grazing allotments, it's kind of like a ranch. That's the boundary of a ranch, and there's grazing allotments on all Forest Service, BLM, state lands. In Arizona, in most cases, most ranches are a mix of all of that. I'm a fourth-generation rancher from the Prescott National Forest. We're mostly Prescott National Forest. You know, and an allotment is kind of where your ranching operation is, where you work with the Forest Service and managing how the livestock is ran and managing the land.
So you just move your cattle along throughout the year in a certain area? Inside
your allotment. And it's different all over. They're like in southern Arizona, that you're on the forest in summer, and then you come back on state and private lands maybe in the winter, and up in northern Arizona, same thing. It's a whole mix. So when you have, you know, we're talking about forest policy and management decisions, you know, but why we're trying to get local support is, you know, like these towns that they don't have any Forest Service land inside their corporate boundary. But if the whole mountainside and Forest Service land is burning up, these communities, you're going to be feeling the effects. Look at the towns in the White Mountains. You know, the Gila River and San Francisco River, all the ash that flowed down there killed all the fish. So it's important at the local level, and that's what we're trying to. I
think it would be a different story if we woke up and saw Mingus Mountain on fire.
Probably.
If we saw Mingus Mountain completely burn, like we've seen the mountains over in the Wall of Fire area burn, it'd be pretty devastating. I told you I've seen pictures from the lookout towers, or the fire lookout towers, which are kind of pointless now because there's nothing left to burn, but it's just hill after hill after hill of these little black sticks. Now we've got to go in and we've got to, how do we get the SAFE plan to move forward?
Well, it's going to take congressional legislation to change some of these action items. Well, the biggest one is suspending NEPA for up to 5 years.
That could be tough.
That could be tough, especially since, you know, the Senate can't pass a budget in a few years. But we're going to keep pushing this at the local level. It's kind of taken hold here in Yavapai County, because that's where I'm from. My father is the president of Arizona Cattle Growers. That's where we live. Our members are out statewide pushing this. It's a grassroots effort, and it takes time. We're a couple months after we put it out. So, I mean, this is not Andy Groseta's plan or Paul Groseta's plan. It's not only for right here in the Verde Valley or Yavapai County. This is statewide, forest-wide. That's what we're trying to do. It will take congressional legislation to get these things changed. And so when that point exactly occurs, I don't know. Our current Congressman Gosar, the staff has been working with him to draft some legislation. That's still very early on. Next year is an election year. But at the end, whenever that point is, you know, the goal of this is to say, well, look, here's the local communities, groups, organizations, counties that support the SAFE plan, the items outlined, the action items outlined in the plan, you know. So you take it back to Washington and say, whoa, you know, the local communities who are drastically affected by forest policy and decisions really do want to see some changes here.
All right, we got to take our second break. Boy, you're right on cue, too. I don't know how you do that, but you stop right exactly when we need to take a break. Okay. Yeah. Paul Groseta in the studio today. I'm Paul David. We're talking about the SAFE plan being put together by the Arizona Cattlemen's Association. Stick around. Countywide will be back in just a couple minutes.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
united.
Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
hungry?
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hi, I'm Captain Larry Dawson with the Cottonwood Fire Department, here to talk to you about cooking safety in your home. The #1 cause of house fires today is lack of safety in the kitchen. Always set a timer while you're cooking. If a fire starts in your oven, close the door and turn the oven off. When kids are present while cooking, always use the back burners and keep handles turned in and out of reach of children. Never leave an open flame unattended, and always have a working fire extinguisher nearby.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're going to wrap up the program. Just a couple minutes left to go. We were just going over some numbers that were pretty outstanding. Go ahead and say that again. How much was wasted?
The wildfire alone, $2.5 billion of timber was burned.
$2.5 billion. And how much did it cost?
About $30 million in Arizona and New Mexico to fight these fires this year.
Just that fire?
This year.
That one fire?
No, to fight them, that was for Arizona and
Okay.
New Mexico, I believe.
Okay, all right.
The cost to fight them. You know, but that's money going out, where we can have it going the other way.
Yeah, I do feel like everything that was in the wildfire area is just wasted now. I know we've got plans to go in there, maybe harvest those trees and that, but that has to be done relatively quickly. Otherwise, that wood is no good anymore. Okay. If people want to show their support to the Arizona Cattle Growers Association, they want to find out more information about the SAFE plan, which you brought me right here, and they want to get behind it, what should they do?
Well, you don't have to be a town or a county. We're a homeowners association or a local group.
Individuals.
Individuals even. Can go to Arizona AZ Cattlemen's Association.
AZ Cattlemen's ASSOC.org. This is posted on. It'll be on the website. It's on the TV. It's coming up at the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
A good number to keep a hand of is 602-267-1129. You can call that for more information. 602-267-1129. The website again. I'm going to spell it out. AZ Cattle Men MEN SASSOC. So it's Arizona Cattlemen's Association.org. Actually, I just typed in and it came up on the search engine, so it was easy to find. But this has got all the background information on the idea that the Arizona Cattlemen's Association has put together and has been presenting it around the state. Right. Has the governor seen the SAFE idea?
I think she's seen it. The state legislature has not endorsed this yet. We're still at the local town and county endorsement and local groups right now. But that's the goal, is to get more and more people to.
How's the Forest Service's response to this so far?
At the Camp Verde Town Council meeting, we've told the Forest Service we're trying to help them hopefully untie their hands of the analysis paralysis and getting projects actually implemented to actually manage the land. At the Camp Verde Town Council meeting, there was the project leader for the Forest Restoration Initiative project, who said, and we've said the whole time, we're not in competition with the Fry project. So we think we're trying to help the Forest Service here. We're not so much seeking Forest Service endorsement or approval of this plan. I don't know if you could probably even get that, but we're trying to help them.
Okay, all right. We're out of time.
Sorry, it
was quick and fast, but I think we've got kind of a taste of it, so people can go to the website and find out some more. ArizonaCattlemen'sAssociation.org. Paul Groseta, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm Paul David. That's today's Countywide. We'll talk to you again next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.